Hello, folks. Dom Lawson here. Yeah, kind of not feeling. Well, I know I'm feeling all right. You didn't ask, but I'm telling you anyway. I've got my hot cat wee here, up the irons and all that. Yeah, not feeling too awful, but I was thinking, I really ought to do an iron sandwich. That would be really good. Well, it wouldn't be really good. It'd be shit, obviously, but people occasionally say, "Oh, when are you going to do another one?" And it's like, well, I would do one every day, but it's not really that time of year, is it? There's hardly any new albums coming out, and most of them are Jonah Louie's greatest hits, to be fair. So, which is a 2-track EP, in case you're wondering. Yeah, but anyway, I was going to do one, and I was thinking, oh god, I'll do it on Monday. But then, of course, Monday turned into total carnage because I went to Ginger's birthday bash, and it's funny, we all got a little bit tipsy afterwards. And apologies to anybody that I broke with my my worm shots. Sorry about that. I would say it won't happen again, but it probably will. There you go, worm shots. It's the future, folks. Much better than a Jaeger bomb. Most things are, to be honest. Oh god, turns my stomach just thinking about it. Anyway, so yeah. So here I am, and I've already wasted a minute by talking rubbish. Well, actually, no, the next 15 minutes will be rubbish as well, so don't worry about that. I'm quite consistent, if nothing else. Yeah, so it's that time of year, bloody end of the year lists. If you've already got your new issue of Metal Hammer, then you'll already know my top 20 albums of the year. But last year I did 4 different iron sandwiches where I went through my top 20, probably in more detail than anybody really wanted. So I'm going to do it in 2 parts this time. Just for people who can't be bothered to buy the magazine. Yeah, thanks for that, by the way, everybody. Stealing food from the mouths of my children. But yeah, if you can't be asked to read, I mean, you can just go, look, I'll show you. That's page 79 of the new issue of Metal Hammer, which of course has, yeah, on the cover, him. Bless him. Yeah, so, but mine's on page 79, so if you've got a copy, you can just go and get it. And look at that, and then save yourself watching this shit, can't you, really? That'd be good. That'd be better than listening to me or looking at my face for any prolonged length of time. Anyway, I'll start. I'll just get on with it. That'd be good, wouldn't it? My top 20 albums of the year, right, 20-11. It's not 20-11, it's 4-2. The jokes don't get any better, do they? Yeah, so... Yes, for numbers 20-11. Okay, well, the thing is, the hard thing about doing your top 20 of the year, and obviously as music journalists we take this stuff a hell of a lot more seriously than anyone else, and for no reason whatsoever, because ultimately it gets published, everyone forgets about it by January, and it doesn't really, fucking mean anything. Ultimately what matters is the magazine's top 20 of the year, which I have to say this year is the best one we've ever had. Absolutely superlative, brilliant. I like all 20 albums in our list, which is... unheard of, really, and I'm very proud of the number 1, of course, which is Gojira. L'enfant sauvage, as we don't say in France. Yeah, so there you go. So that's awesome. But anyway, the hardest thing is picking your number 20, because this year I had I had a list of about 60 albums that I wanted to put in my top 20. And so 1 to 19 is relatively easy to do, but it's picking the number 20, because you've got loads and loads of different albums that you kind of want to put in the list but can't. So that's the difficult one. So when I think about some of the albums that are missing from our top 20, it does cause me actual physical pain. But you just got to remember that, 1, it doesn't matter. Shut up, who cares? And secondly, just because something would, in theory, be at number 23 in my top 50 albums of the year doesn't mean that I like them on number 20 vastly more. In fact, really, you're splitting hairs by this point. Apart from your number 1 album, really, it's just a list of albums that you like from the year. The only thing you're really making a statement about is what your favourite album of the year is, really. And we'll get to that later. Anyway, my number 20. Shut up. Fucking hell. I'm still broken from the other day. That's the problem. This could go on this could be like about a 4-hour iron sandwich. I do like the urine, though. It is most refreshing. Number 20, then. Mine is Retir by Enslaved. The masters. Well, I'd say that about everybody. The masters of progressive black metal. Are they progressive black metal? No, they're not even black metal. Viking metal. They're not even that, really. They're just, really, they're a progressive metal band, but then that makes you think of Dream Theater, which obviously is not the same thing at all. But anyway, yeah, Enslaved, been amazing over the years. They've got an incredible catalogue of albums. I have to be perfectly honest, I don't like all their albums equally. I thought Issa has been my favourite album of theirs for a long time, actually. I thought Rune was great. Vertebrae never clicked with me. I still listen to that every now and then, and it doesn't quite do it. And then the one with the funny title, Axioma, whatever it was, that one was brilliant as well. But this one I think is my favourite since Issa. If you like your kind of adventurous, proggy stuff, but it's quite extreme, but it's very melodic. It's got a lot of really great mellow parts, a lot of kind of vibes of the early '70s prog stuff, but not the really obvious. It doesn't sound like Genesis or anything, but it's got a lot of analog synths and organs and atmospheric stuff that will remind you of '70s rock and stuff without actually sounding remotely dated. It's just a brilliant record, particularly the last track. I can't remember the title of the last track. I'm sorry, I'm going to be hopeless on things like this because I can't bother to look it up. But the last track I think is my favourite thing Enslaved have done possibly ever. I think it's glorious. So there you go. That's my number 20. Enslaved. Retire is how I'm pronouncing it. Number 19 is Killing Joke. MMX11 or 2012 or whatever you want to call it. It's just Killing Joke, really. I think they're one of those bands that kind of I don't know many people who don't like Killing Joke, and I think there's a reason for that. Is they have a very unique sound. They're not. You can't say they're this or that. They're just Killing Joke. They kind of transcend all the usual genre bollocks, and people, if you might not like all their stuff, but the chances of, if you like heavy music, if there's nothing in Killing Joke's catalogue that you like, then I find you a little bit suspicious as a human being, really. I think they're just a phenomenal band, and Jazz Coleman is a genius, frankly, and one of the most fascinating people on the planet. And this is a particularly brilliant album. I thought Absolute Descent was fantastic, and it was. But I think this one's even better, and it's just one of those things. They've just got such a huge sound, and yet it's so raw and so aggressive, but incredibly inventive. And no one sounds like Jazz, And I think they're on the form of their lives at the moment. Really excited about seeing them at Hammerfest. I think that's going to be phenomenal. Excuse me. Okay, my number 18, possibly the most controversial one in my list, although I don't know why, really, because I think, frankly, if you don't like this band, then I don't know what the point of view is. But anyway, my number 18 is Manowar, The Lord of Steel. Now, it's my favourite Manowar album for 20 years, at least, I think. There was some debate among the band's fans about the production and about Joey's bass sound, and the chair's a bit noisy today. Manowar's, the bass sound on it, or whatever, being kind of a bit farty, but I like it. It's just ridiculous distortion, and as a bass player who plays in a band where there's not much except distorted bass, I kind of, I can dig that. It's also the best set of songs Manowar have had for a long time. I think it's, yes, there are elements of cheese in there, certainly, and it's just pure Manowar, really. It's, Gods of War, their previous album, was long-winded and had too many interludes and choirs and all that kind of stuff. And although a lot of fans really loved it, it just wasn't direct enough for me, really. And there was a bit too much fannying about, and telling stories and all the rest, which was great. But I like the fact that The Lord of Steel is an album of 10 pounding heavy metal songs, most of which are about heavy metal and how brilliant it is, which I think is kind of what you want from Manowar, really. If Joey's watching, this hot piss is for you. If he isn't watching, then it's for everybody. But yeah, Lord of Steel, Manowar, brilliant album. People seem to think that you're being ironic by liking Manowar, or you're just or it's like you're somehow that my affection for them isn't genuine. No, I love Manowar. I love listening to Manowar. I love heavy metal. I don't find anything remotely embarrassing about listening to pure heavy metal that's self-referential and it's just it's like, to me, there's no different from that between that and AC/DC. It's party music. It's music that makes you feel good about being alive. You're in a big group of people. Everybody's listening to Hail, Kill and Die and holding their pint in the air and having an awesome time. I think take your head out of your arse. Stop taking yourself so seriously. Really, it's supposed to be fun. For fuck's sake. Number 17. Rush, Clockwork Angels. Everybody likes Rush, don't they? Good. That's easily dealt with. And best Rush album for ages. It was worth the wait. Certainly, it's an album that gets better every time you hear it, really, and there's so much going on in it. The lyrics are great, actually, and the production's amazing. They're it's just such a phenomenal band live and on record, and they've certainly made plenty of albums in the past that I haven't been so keen on, but this is one of those that the first time you hear it, it's like, wow, fucking hell, this is properly amazing record. Can't wait to see them play bits of it next year. If you've never listened to Rush, it's also a really good starting point, actually. Surprisingly, they've got a huge catalogue, but you might as well start with this one. It's good. Number 16, this one appeared very high in the Metal Hammer list, actually. This was like in the top 10, I think. What was it? Number 6, fucking hell, yeah, Royal Thunder. The album's called CVI. Is that supposed to be a number? What's CVI? 50? No, it's not 50. C's not 50. Is it? No, C's 100, isn't it? 104. That's not a very interesting title, 104. Anyway, it's called CVI. It's on Relapse Records. Almost impossible to describe Royal Thunder. It's hard rock, kind of 70s influence. There's a whiff of Sabbath and Zeppelin and stuff in there, but it's something else entirely. It's got a real kind of primal, storm-torn kind of, I don't know, it's really kind of outdoorsy music. It sounds like, it's like being stuck in the desert with Satan, really, and listening to Led Zeppelin. No, it's not. That's a terrible description. I'll drink some more tea. Sorry, urine. Yeah, a brilliant album anyway, and I can't remember the singers now. I can't remember anything today. I'm just fucking useless. But anyway, Royal Thunder, fantastic band. If you like really interesting hard rock with loads of soul in it, and just a lot of, it's just incredibly original, despite effectively being guitars, bass, drums, and vocals. It's just one of those albums that's got a unique atmosphere to it. Can't recommend that highly enough. Number 15. My number 15 is Napalm Death, Utilitarian. Every time Napalm Death release an album, it ends up in my top 20 just because they're one of the greatest bands of all time. I think this is their best album in a while, but every one of their albums recently has been fantastic. It's just, I don't know, there's just something about Napalm that they're so inventive and yet they're so recognisable. It's incredibly adventurous grindcore that will tear your face off. And I think I've probably said this before in these things, that grindcore gets reduced down to stuff that sounds like, I don't know, the first Nasm album or From Enslavement to Obliteration, and people who think that grindcore is just incredibly fast with a few D beats thrown in, that's missing the point about grindcore. When grindcore started, it was about extreme music that had a grinding sound to it, and even Godflesh got described as grindcore back in the day. And I think both Brutal Truth and Napalm Death kind of fly the flag for what grindcore should be about, which is a lot of invention within an extreme form of music, and there's tons of brilliant ideas on this Napalm Death album, but the one that I'm going to mention, which I always mention, is the track Everyday Pox, which if you haven't heard it, you've got to hear it, because it's got John Zorn playing saxophone on it, and it's just fucking phenomenal. So there you go, that's my number 15. My number 14, rattling through them now, is Between the Buried and Me. I've always loved this band. I think they're amazing, but I think they really surpassed themselves on the new album, which is called The Parallax. Hang on. It's called The Parallax something or other. You'll probably be shouting it at me if you're looking at this, but I can't remember the full title. Future Sequence. The Parallax 2 Future Sequence. There you go. That's what it's called. Fucking hell. Just amazing. It's for me, a while back they would have been kind of classified on along similar lines as Dillinger Escape Plan, but I think Between the Buried and Me are much more prog influenced than Dillinger, and that's what I love about this. As much as I love Dillinger and everything they've done, I've loved. I prefer Between the Buried and Me because there's more space in their music. Really, it's more expansive, and I love the lengthy tracks that go all over the place, but yet still have this kind of very strong melodic core. I think they're masters of throwing a load of seemingly incompatible ideas together and making some really great coherent music, which is both extreme and very accessible. And I think this album is just absolutely phenomenal. It's a real trip, a real journey, all those cliches. Number 13 is Katatonia. Again, a band that hardly ever let me down. I mean, in fact, they've never let me. I've liked everything they've ever done, to be fair. But I think Dead End Kings may well be the best album they've ever made. Up until this point, I would have picked Last Fair Deal Gone Down, or whatever the last one was called, Night is the New Day. I think those two were particularly fantastic records, but this one, just everything from the production, best drum sound I've ever heard on an album, incidentally, the new Katatonia album, Dead End Kings, but just some of their best songs, just beautiful. And what I love about Katatonia more than ever these days is how they use very relatively simple melodies and quite simple arrangements sometimes, but somehow I think there's just an oddness to their music, which coupled with the kind of melancholy that's inherent in what they do, just makes for a really unique listening experience. They're not quite like anyone else, and although there are many straightforward elements in what they do, there's something slightly unsettling and bizarre about it as well. And I just think it's a phenomenal record. It sounds amazing. The songs are brilliant, and they're ace. I didn't really think that through. That wasn't much of a summary, was it? Anyway, never mind. Number 12, I was expecting this to be higher up in my list, but to be honest, I don't really put this together with too much fucking thought. So, number 12 was Storm Corrosion, which of course is the album by Stephen Wilson and Michael Ockerfeldt, to give him his proper name, from Opeth. And it's if you don't like prog, If you don't like prog stuff and weird music, then you won't like it. Simple as that. I have heard people say, oh, it's boring. Well, you're boring. Okay, thanks. But it's just fascinating. It's for people who listen to music because they love music and love to lose themselves in it, rather than people who want 3-minute songs that make them jump up and down. It is possible to like both, as I do, but I think if you've got a short attention span, then Storm Corrosion is not for you, and that's no criticism of you, although you are a twat. No, I mean, it's not for everyone, clearly. But it's just amazing. It's sonically incredibly inventive. It kind of sounds ageless and timeless. It's not. It is very much in the spirit of some of the weirder end of the prog scene from the 70s, but it doesn't sound like a 70s record. It's very unsettling, I think, at times. It's quite a dark record, quite disturbing, but also beautiful as well. And it's similar in spirit, I'd say, to things like Talk Talk's Spirit of Eden, or even Tilt by Scott Walker or something like that. It's just a fascinating album to listen to on headphones in the dark. If you're that kind of moody person that does that kind of thing, I wouldn't dream of doing that. Well, not the headphones thing, because I don't really do headphones. Anyway, might mess up my hair. Okay, and finally, number 11. My number 11 album of 2012s is Om. Which, of course, the most interesting thing about Om is that their name is 2/3 of mine. But the album's called Advaitic Songs. Can't I just call your album Steve or something, then it'd be easier to say. Advaitic Songs, which is on Drag City Records. Om, if you haven't heard Om, they're kind of vaguely related to the stoner rock doom kind of thing. Two of them, one of the main guys used to be in Sleep, of course, one of the greatest doom bands of them all. But they're much more. It's more of a kind of ambient not trancey. That makes it sound like it's dance music. It's, if you like things like krautrock and kind of strange tribal. Oh God, I can't describe it at all, really. I hope my review of the album was better than this. This is rubbish. It's kind of mantra-like music for people who smoke too much pot, really, and they based around grooves, basically based around grooves. Fucking hell, it's not going well today. It's just kind of trippy music for taking drugs to, really, but it also incorporates some Asian instrumentation and kind of a kind of quasi-religious vibe, I'd say, but it's just phenomenal, just a fantastic record. That's and again, like Storm Corrosion, one to listen to, to really kind of lose yourself in, because it's not 3-minute songs. It's just soundscapes and grooves and atmosphere, and yeah, delicious. Love it, fantastic. So there you go. That's number 11. This has gone on far too long, so I'm going to have another swig of my cat piss. And just say I'll do the rest of this bollocks tomorrow, or whenever the next one goes up. And then if you can't be bothered to buy the magazine, then you'll find out the thrilling truth of what is my top 10 albums of 2012. Thanks for watching. I think I might go and cry now. So yeah, cheers. Thanks, folks, and see you soon for the next load of rubbish. Hey!